to celebrate the upcoming Halloween. Mike put a large pumpkin on his head, but unexpectedly, the pumpkin was stuck as if it had been cursed. When the rescue team arrived at the scene, they had to hold back their laughter so hard that their faces were cramping. Mike could barely sit down without losing his balance. The captain ordered Buck to quickly fetch some lubricant, but when they tried to remove the pumpkin again, Mike's screams were like something out of a horror movie. The pumpkin was like a steel helmet welded to his head. Troy found the cause. Mike's neck had developed a rash, a clear sign of an allergic reaction, but his daughter said that her father had never been allergic to pumpkins, which was strange. It seemed that the bacteria from the rotten pumpkin had caused the allergy. If nothing unexpected happened, Mike's face would now be swollen like a pig's head. No wonder they couldn't get it off. However, just then, Mike suddenly pointed excitedly at the pumpkin, and the next second, he fell to the ground, his body shaking violently. Mike must have choked on the pumpkin flesh. If they didn't get the pumpkin off him, he would suffocate to death. Buck immediately grabbed a saw and carefully began cutting into the pumpkin. Everyone watched with bated breath. Fortunately, everything went smoothly. They peeled off the pumpkin skin and quickly used a suction device to remove the pumpkin flesh from Mike's mouth. Finally, Mike was out of danger. After thanking the rescue team, he couldn't help but laugh at himself for being so stupid, almost getting killed by a pumpkin. At this point, kind-hearted Buck comforted him, saying that he had seen even more stupid ways of getting injured. However, before Buck could finish speaking, he fell heavily to the ground. Fortunately, his arm was only dislocated and there were no serious injuries. But the aftermath of this absurd rescue left Buck trapped in a psychological nightmare worse than the pumpkin, because just 2 nights earlier, the fire department had organized a Halloween event for children. A mummy prop scared the children so much they dared not approach it. Buck reassured everyone that it was just a prop, not a real person. A little girl said she didn't like the dummy's arm, so Buck tore off his left arm. But the next second, his face turned pale because it was a real arm.
Oh my God, he's real! He's real!
The children were scared and ran away, which left Buck with a huge psychological shadow, because this mummy was borrowed from a Hollywood prop team, and it turned out to be a real human body. Buck now believes that his dislocated arm was caused by pulling off the corpse's left arm, cursing him with the corpse's curse. Buck investigated and discovered that the corpse had a very eventful history, having been borrowed by various places. It was first used in a grocery store, but the store was soon destroyed by a fire. It was then taken to an amusement park, but the park was soon destroyed by a hurricane. Finally, it was taken to a rodeo show, but not long after, the show was disrupted by a stampede. Buck said this with a straight face, and his friends were indeed amused by his story. Back home, Buck continued his online search and discovered that the mummified body had once been a bank robber. Due to the boils covering his skin, people had nicknamed him Billy Boils. Later, Billy's accomplices betrayed him to claim the reward money, tying him up and handing him over to the police. However, no one expected that Billy's 6 accomplices would all suddenly die violently. Doesn't this prove that Billy was someone not to be messed with? The next day, Buck found several boils on his face. Could he really have been cursed?